Today I'm doing something a little different. Today I'm in Disneyland. I'm attempting to ride every ride in Disneyland in a single day. And since this is a photography channel, I'm going to try to photograph every one of those rides. So here I'm going to put on the screen a list of all the stuff I have to do today. I got to average a little over 2 things per hour in order to meet that goal. I think that's doable because I am using Lightning Lane today. I'm going to cheat because I think that's the only way I'm going to get it all done. We will see.
So for this exercise, I wanted to focus on being lightweight and streamlined, so I'm only bringing one lens. I chose my 17mm f1.2 Pro because it's fast, it's wide enough. I think it's going to give me good enough images on most of the rides. Not ideal for everything, but good enough for most. The only other things that I brought were my DJI Pocket 3 and the microphone and the camera cage so I could attach the DJI to my camera and shoot photos and videos at the same time. And I brought a power bank because I knew I was going to go through multiple battery charges on the DJI. That's all I brought.
Fantasyland is a great place to start because it has the highest concentration of standby attractions. And when the crowd's levels are low in the morning, you can get a lot done and stay in one area. So I am hoping that in the first 2 hours of today, I'm able to knock out a huge portion of those 20 standby lines. We're here at the rope. Let's see how it goes.
So for my first ride of the day, I decided not to rope drop Peter Pan and instead proceeded directly to Pinocchio's Daring Journey. And you can see from this queue, there is nobody in line for this ride. I think I was the first person on this ride at 8:02 in the morning. My goal for this project is to take at least one good photo on every single one of the rides I go on today. I've gotten plenty of good shots on this ride before with this same lens, but I've never gotten one that I was really proud of Geppetto at the end. And so that's one of the images I wanted to focus on today. I wanted to make sure I was turned around in my seat and ready to capture this subject when he came into view. And I think I did an okay job. The framing is not perfect, but I'm only getting one crack at each of these rides today, so I gotta take whatever I can get, and this was the best shot that I got. After I got off of Pinocchio, my next ride was Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I got on this ride at 8:06, so again, I could just walk right on because there's nobody in line yet. This ride can be challenging for this particular lens. This lens is not quite wide enough. A lot of the things in this ride are very, very close to you, and they move very, very quickly because the ride vehicle makes a lot of 90-degree and 180-degree turns, and so getting shots on this ride can be a little bit challenging. I decided to try my luck again at the devil lizard creature at the end of the ride, whatever that thing is supposed to be. A lot of times I find that my lens fogs up when I ride in the wintertime or in the fall or early in the morning. There is enough of a temperature change in that room to cause my lens to fog up, and so I have not gotten a shot of this part of the ride that is not obscured by fog. And today, I got lucky. Here it is. An unfogged lizard devil thing. Hope you enjoy it.
All right, it's 8:12 and I just got off my second ride. Got through both of those rides combined in 11 minutes, and now I'm jumping on to Snow White.
The easiest subjects to photograph on Snow White are these 2 shots of the evil queen. This one because you're heading straight towards her, and you have plenty of time to get a good shot while she turns around. The other one is this one because, again, you're heading straight towards her, so that's the one I chose to photograph as her apple turned from red to green.
All right, now it's 8:18 and I've gotten off of the Snow White ride. So that's 3 rides in 18 minutes. That's why Fantasyland is awesome. They're all short, there's no wait this early in the morning, and they're all really close together. So let's do Casey Jr. next.
There isn't a whole lot to photograph here on Casey Jr. There's not a lot that the ride itself goes past that is specific to the Casey Jr. ride. So most of what I end up photographing is different perspectives of the Storybook Land Canal Boat ride, which is kind of right here below you and around you as you drive through. And actually one of my favorite things to shoot is to try to get this shot of the little Arendelle model set with the full-size Matterhorn in the background.
Off the ride at 8:26, and now we're getting into the line for Dumbo. All the way up. High as we can go.
So this is another ride where there just isn't a whole lot to photograph if you're not riding with a group. If you're riding with a group, turn around and take pictures of the group behind you or the group in front of you. You can take pictures of yourself. But when I'm by myself, I just take pictures of the Timothy Mouse character atop the center spindle of the Dumbo ride.
All right, so it's 8:42 and I just got off of Dumbo. That was the first of the 5 rides I've ridden so far that actually had something resembling a wait time. I waited about 15 minutes, and now we're gonna head to another ride that's sometimes takes a little while to load. I'm gonna go to Storybook Land Canal Boats, right behind me.
I was on the left side of the boat, and so there was a pretty short distance between myself and some of the little houses right on the edge of the water. Another really fun thing to photograph is the birds and the ducks that always love to wander around this set, so you can get some interesting perspective shots with what looks like giant geese next to tiny little houses.
All right, so it's a little after 9. I just got off of Storybook Land Canal Boats. I've completed 6 rides in my first hour. That's pretty good. That's 3 times the pace I had hoped to average over the course of the day. I'm probably not going to be able to sustain that because as the day goes on and more people show up, wait times are going to get a little longer. But for now, I still have the rest of Fantasyland to do. So I'm going to get one of the longer ones out of the way, like Peter Pan. It was a posted 30-minute wait time, and I waited almost exactly 25 minutes. Not too bad for 9 o'clock on a Friday morning.
This is a challenging ride to photograph because of a couple of things. First of all, as you can see in the frame, the sail and the rigging and the front of your ride vehicle are going to be getting in the way for any shot you have facing forward. And then for shots to the left and the right, as you can see, this ride vehicle makes a lot of quick 90-degree and 180-degree turns. You're shooting straight down in some cases, so even if you get a shot, the perspective isn't awesome. So this is a ride that takes a lot of repetition to really find out what you want to shoot, find the best lens to frame it up, and then find a set of settings that's going to work for it. And the fact that this ride has no lightning lane and almost always has a 25 to 45 minute wait means that I don't get anywhere near as much practice shooting this ride as I would like to. But you can still get some good shots. I happen to love this shot of Mr. Smee here at the end. I really like how this shot came out. I kind of waited till I had gone past him, and then I turned around and shot him from a different angle.
So now I'm going to head over to Alice in Wonderland, which is another, looks like probably a 25-minute wait. Maybe only 2 rides this hour.
This is one of my favorite dark rides for exploring alternative perspectives rather than face the way the ride vehicle wants you to face. I like to turn in my seat and stay with the subject a little longer, like this one of the White Rabbit. A lot of people don't see that angle. It's a really fun challenge, and I think this ride is better than most dark rides because most of the subjects are actual 3D subjects, and they're lit really, really, really well. You can see how much these subjects pop, and so it makes it very easy for your camera to lock focus and track things as they move in this ride.
So it's time for my second hourly check-in. It's now 10 o'clock. I've ridden a total of 8 rides. I rode 6 in the first hour. I only managed 2 in the second hour because lines are starting to get longer. I had to ride Peter Pan, I had to ride Alice in Wonderland. Those are 2 of the longer or longest wait times in Fantasyland. So the hourly pace I need to maintain is still the same. I need to do 1.85 per hour for the next 14 hours. So there's only 2 left in Fantasyland. I only have the King Arthur Carousel and the Mad Tea Party left, and then it's time to head to another area. Decided to try something interesting for photographically because there's not much to take photos of on the ride except yourself. So I flipped it over to shutter priority mode, set my shutter speed to half a second, and tried to spin. So I'm hoping I maybe got a little bit of motion blur. Not sure if it worked. It probably didn't. Anyway, it's 10:08, and now to get on the last Fantasyland ride, the King Arthur Carousel. And with that, I am finished with Fantasyland at 10:15. That's not too bad. That's, I think, 10 rides? Yeah, I think 10 rides in Fantasyland in just over 2 hours. As long as I'm over here near Fantasyland, I'm going to also knock out Chippendale's Gadget Coaster. It's a standby attraction in the back of Toontown. And sometimes the wait for this ride feels longer than it should be because they only run 1 ride vehicle at a time on the track because it's such a small attraction, and sometimes loading it and unloading it can take a while. So right now I think it's posted for a 15-minute wait. Let's see how quick I can get this one done.
This ride is literally 20 seconds long. There's not a whole lot to photograph other than Gadget and the view of Toontown from the top, and then it's over as soon as it began.
All right, it's 11 o'clock, time for the 3rd hourly check-in. In the 10 to 11 o'clock hour, I got 3 rides done. I was able to close out all of Fantasyland, and I started my work on Toontown. So that brings my total number for the day so far to 11. That's 11 in 3 hours. That's an average of like 3.6, 3.7, somewhere in there. That's ahead of the pace goal that I had set for myself this morning. Going into the 11 to 12 o'clock hour, I did take a little bit of a break. I went over to Troubadour Tavern here in Fantasyland, grabbed myself a delicious baked potato, and now I've got a lightning lane over at Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
This is a ride that I love to ride just to look at it because there is so much detail. There are so many little things you can see everywhere you look that's always changing because every square inch of this attraction has projection effects. But photographically, it's a little bit of a challenge. I always like shooting this scene at the end with Mickey and Minnie and Pluto.
So it's 12 o'clock, might as well check in for the 4th hourly check-in. I only got one ride done in this hour from 11 to 12. I got the lightning lane for Runaway Railway taken care of, but also I took my lunch break in that hour. I think I'm still in a pretty good place. The park is now finally starting to fill out a little more. I'm noticing more people, so I think even with even having lightning lane multi-pass, I'm going to still probably just barely be able to keep that 2 ride per hour average. So I've had a lightning lane pass for Indiana Jones Adventure that I've been able to redeem for about 15 minutes now, so I'm heading towards Adventureland.
Indy is one of the hardest rides to get good photos on, so when I go on this ride and I want to take photos, this is the lens that I bring because it's wide, it's very, very fast, and I need every little bit of help I can get to get photos that come out even remotely acceptable.
Okay, it's 12:25 and I just got out of Indy. The posted wait time was 50 minutes. I got through it with the lightning lane in about 15, so that saved me another 35 minutes out of my day. I think that's money well spent. And now, starting at 12:30, I can scan in for my lightning lane on Pirates, and then I gotta choose another one. Let's go.
While this particular lens isn't necessarily my favorite for shooting Pirates, my preference is to get really, really close with a longer focal length, but this lens does still do a really good job on this ride, again, because that f1.2 aperture lets in a ton of light, so it lets you get relatively clean images for the low light, and it lets you have a wider, more expansive field of view that brings more of the background environment into the scene.
All right, I just got off of Pirates. There was a posted 45-minute wait time. Lightning lane allowed me to save 35 minutes. I only waited 10 minutes to get on that ride, but it's a long ride, so I didn't get off of it until about 12:52, which is what time it is right now. So I only can count 2 rides for my 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock hour. So still exceeding the minimum pace I need. I have a lightning lane for exactly 1 o'clock over at Thunder Mountain, so I can scan into that in 1 minute. So let's not waste any more time.
My goal on this ride of Big Thunder Mountain was to get a good shot of these blue caverns that you go through as you go up the first lift hill, and I think I got a decent one. It's not the best, but it works. I'm happy with this. And there's always other fun things to photograph, like the dynamite goat and the possums and the coyotes, but today was all about the cavern.
It's about 1:15. I just got off of a Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Posted standby wait was 40 minutes. It took me 10 minutes to get through with the lightning lane, so another 30 minutes saved. If you're trying to do something like this, lightning lane is definitely worth it. This probably would not be possible. I'm pretty sure this definitely wouldn't be possible without lightning lane multipass. I'm going to continue to cheat at this game. I just bought an individual lightning lane pass or a lightning lane single pass for Rise of the Resistance starting in 4 minutes. So I'm going to go do that.
Always lots of cool stuff to photograph on this ride. It's a great blend of projection effects and 3D physical things. It's just a really well thought out ride. There's a couple of things that work really well with a 35mm focal length, like this shot of Kylo Ren and a lot of others, but that's the one that I decided to keep for today.
All right, it's 1:50, just got off of Rise of the Resistance. Posted wait time of 55 minutes. Lightning lane got me through in 20, so that's another 35 minutes saved. And now I'm gonna see if I can run through single rider line on Smuggler's Run fast enough to be able to count it as part of this hour. I've got 10 minutes. So change of plan is in order. Smuggler's Run was closed, so I guess I can also do my 2 p.m. check-in. From 1 to 2, I got 2 rides done. I've ridden a total of 16 rides in 6 hours. That's 2.67 per hour on average. based on the number of hours I have left in the day and the number of rides I have left to do, I need to average 1.8. So far I've been maintaining that or exceeding it. I am going to go over to the rivers of America and take care of riding the Columbia, the Mark Twain, and the Davy Crockett Explorer canoes because all of those close early for Fantasmic, so I need to get those taken care of this hour.
So the 17mm focal length is not the best for the Mark Twain because no matter which deck you photograph from, just a wide angle lens like this just shows too much. And whenever you don't have a real distinct subject in the image, it just comes out as kind of a blah image. So I settled with this boring selfie of myself in the salon on the Mark Twain. And then heading over to the Davy Crockett Explorer canoes. Again, I was too busy trying to paddle and run the stills camera. I didn't bother to shoot B-roll. So here I have some B-roll from 5 months ago when I was here in February. And then I snapped this just quick little snapshot of the Indian village.
All right, it's 3 o'clock, time to check in. In the 3 o'clock hour, I rode the Mark Twain riverboat and I rode the canoes, the Davy Crockett Explorer canoes. I had intended to also ride the Columbia, but it doesn't run on the weekdays. So I'm not gonna count it as a thing that I did, but I am gonna take it off the list of things I need to do today. So I got a little bit of a boost. So I rode 2 rides in the 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock hour. I've averaged 2.6-ish rides per hour, which is far in excess of what I need. This is the time of day when plans will typically fall apart. So don't get too attached to any plans that you make. A line for something is going to be longer than you expect, and you're going to miss a lightning lane and have to reschedule it. Lightning lanes are going to start to fill up on some days for the most popular rides, Space Mountain, Tiana's Bio Adventure. Individual lightning lanes might sell out for something like Rise of the Resistance. So some of those lightning lanes, if you sit on them for too long before booking one, you might not get the opportunity. Make a plan that's going to set you up for success later on. I wanted to put a lot of rides on the board early on because I knew I could do that, and that was going to give me a better chance at maintaining a more reasonable rate later in the day. Now on my way over to Tomorrowland, I booked a lightning lane for Star Tours, and then I'm going to try to start working through some of the lightning lane attractions in Tomorrowland, and then I'm probably going to have to start just cleaning up and taking what I can get. The planning part of the day is over, and now it's mostly just reacting to what I can make work. All right, it's basically 4 o'clock, so might as well check in for 4 o'clock. I only got 1 ride done in this hour. That was Star Tours. Used the lightning lane. Only took me 20 minutes, where the posted wait time was 50. But it took me a while to get over here from the other side of the park. So I only get to claim 1 ride for this hour. So hurt my pace a little bit, but not much. I think I'm going to be okay. I think I've got 14 rides left in the next 8 hours. That's really manageable. So I've now got a lightning lane for Astro Blasters. Let's go blast some Astro.
The age-old dilemma. Do you take photos on this ride, or do you spend your time trying to actually shoot the targets? I mostly try to take photos. It's a fun ride to take pictures on because everything's really brightly lit and high contrast.
All right, it's about 4:15. I got off of Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters. Saved about 20 or 30 minutes with the lightning lane. So now, starting to run out of options for things that have lightning lanes available right now. So I went ahead and booked a Space Mountain or a Hyperspace Mountain for this time of year for 11:25 tonight, which means I have 2 hours until I can book another one. So I'm gonna head back over to Galaxy's Edge because Smuggler's Run appears to be back open. If you use the single rider line, you get on a ship in about 5 minutes. It's the best, worst kept secret in Disneyland. I'm surprised more people don't use it. And there's really no reason to use the standby line or the lightning lane unless you really want to see what the queue looks like and see the Hondo animatronic, which is really cool. But if you just want to get on the ride, single rider. All right, so now it's 4:45. I'm leaving Galaxy's Edge. Galaxy's Edge is done. There's only 2 rides here. I've done them both. And I'm heading over to Bayou Country to scratch off Winnie the Pooh.
This is another ride that's relatively easy to photograph because it moves really slow. Everything's close to the ride vehicle. Most of the things are very contrasty, and they're painted in a way where they kind of pop from the black light. I like this shot of Tigger and Pooh in the psychedelic Heffalump Nightmare, so that's the photo I chose for this particular ride.
Might as well do my 5 p.m. check-in.
This hour I managed to get 3 rides done, which hopefully makes up a little bit for the last few hours where I only averaged 1 ride per hour. Moving on.
So I can't make my next Lightning Lane reservation until 5:59. It's about 40 minutes from now, so I'm going to go jump on the line for Finding Nemo because it's only about 25 minutes.
This lens is about the tightest I would go in terms of a focal length for this ride. Anything wider than this is going to be even better. It's going to give you a more immersive view out the window. It is frustrating that the bubbles going by the sub constantly mess with the autofocus on your camera, but it is so much fun to see these 3D elements from the old version of the ride blended with projection effects from the Finding Nemo movie. I was shooting in electronic shutter mode, and so this shot that I got of Bruce on the screen ended up with some banding, so I have to live with that. 2 shots I have not gotten yet are this shot of the mines and this shot of the anglerfish, so I need to keep riding to try to get a good photo of those.
It is 6:50. I haven't gotten anything done this hour because I got off of submarine voyage so late and I stopped to have dinner, but I'm going to jump on the Disneyland Railroad because that's one of the big ones I need to do. The Disneyland Railroad and also the monorail are being counted as part of this challenge, and they're both going to be kind of a big time suck, so I think I'm going to get those out of the way now in the hopes that some lines get shorter for other things later on tonight, especially when Fantasmic and some of the evening shows go on. So let's see if this works.
The only real photographic opportunities on the Disneyland Railroad, if you have a lens this wide, are right after the Tomorrowland stop in the Grand Canyon diorama and the Primeval World dinosaur exhibit. So I shot some frames in here. The rest of the trip is just going through the woods and seeing some nice views of the park, but you really need a longer lens to take advantage of those, so enjoy this wide-angle stuff.
All right, it's 6:27. We just got off the Disneyland Railroad. We did a full circle around the park. We departed from Tomorrowland and arrived back in Tomorrowland. If I'm going to use that, if I'm going to count Disneyland Railroad as a ride, I don't want to cheat and just ride at one stop. No other ride lets you get off partway through the ride, so do the whole loop if you're gonna count it. It takes just about 20 minutes, 22 minutes. So now I'm gonna pop up to the monorail platform, ride the monorail to downtown Disney, and back.
It's hard to get good shots from the monorail, and I was busy talking to some people next to me, so I just took the obligatory snapshot out the window of the main gate, and let's move on.
All right, it's 8:10. I just got off the monorail, so kind of between half of Disneyland Railroad taking up part of the 8 o'clock hour, and then the other half it spent waiting for riding to and from monorail downtown Disney. That used up my entire 7 to 8 o'clock hour, so now I have 8 rides left to do in the day and 4 hours left in the day, so I have to average 2 rides an hour for the next 4 hours. It's getting close, it's getting tricky. So I'm gonna go see what the standby for Autopia is, and I'm gonna ride that while I wait to look for another lightning lane.
Luckily, there weren't too many people on the track tonight, so I actually had time to slow down and stop on the track to get this photo of Bird, and then I continued on my way. I really enjoy driving the Autopia at night because when all the lights come on, it's just a lot more of an enjoyable place to be, as long as you don't mind the smell of gasoline and all the noise.
It is 8:37. I just got off of Autopia. Now I'm going to head over to the Astro Orbiter. Some of the standby lines are starting to drop now as people get in line for Fantasmic and shows. And then after Astro Orbiter, I think I'm going to head over to Bayou Country and get on Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Not looking forward to being cold and wet for the last 2 hours of the day, but it has to be done. All the way up.
On Astro Orbiter, there are really 2 things you can shoot. You can shoot outward and try to get shots of the castle and Tomorrowland, or you can try to get shots of the actual rockets, and it's fun to use a long shutter speed to create some motion blur. I chose too long of a shutter speed here. I chose 1 whole second rather than half a second, and I got a little too much blur.
Trying to get my butt across the hub before nighttime entertainment starts and before it gets too hard to move. I was able to change one of my lightning lanes for a Tiana's lightning lane, at 9:10, so I'm going to head over there and jump in line for that so I don't have to take my chances with the single rider line. I'm going to freeze my butt off, and then I'm going to run all the way back across to Tomorrowland because I have an overlapping lightning lane on Hyperspace Mountain. Things are looking good, but I'm not declaring victory yet.
This lens does a pretty good job on Tiana's Bio Adventure because it's wide enough for capturing scenes that are right next to your ride vehicle, like this one. Also, that wide aperture lets in a lot of light and lets you get relatively clean exposures of some of these dark scenes, and it is a weather-sealed lens, and so you don't have to worry about drowning your camera when you go down the wet parts of the ride.
All right, so it's 9:35. I just got off of Tiana's Bio Adventure. Posted standby wait was 20 minutes. I got through the lightning lane queue in about 7, so it saves 13 minutes. And now I have a lightning lane. Actually, right now it overlapped my Tiana's lightning lane for Hyperspace Mountain, but I'm going through Galaxy's Edge because I don't want to try to cut across New Orleans Square and the hub with the crowds for Fantasmic and the fireworks show. It's actually going to be faster to power walk about half again that distance, but there's no crowding, so engaging fry speed. And here we are at Hyperspace Mountain. It took exactly 10 minutes of very brisk walking. So now let's scan into Hyperspace Mountain. It is 9:45.
Since the whole point of Space Mountain is a ride in the dark, there aren't very many good opportunities for photos, but I did grab this before the lights went all the way out.
So it's 10:07. I have a little less than 2 hours left. I only have 4 rides left to do in order to complete this challenge, and 2 of them I have lightning lanes for. So I am on my way now to Matterhorn. Then I have a lightning lane for Haunted Mansion. I'll probably do Jungle Cruise on my way out of the park. The wild card is Roger Rabbit. It's been closed for the last hour or so. That might be the one that screws me. So I think I'm gonna try to get the other 3 done, and then I may just hang out in Toontown and hope it opens in time.
I've been trying to get a good sharp shot of this Yeti on the Matterhorn for quite a while. Tonight I got pretty lucky. This is one of the better shots I've managed to get of it. It's not just a blur like some of them are. Next time I'll try using an even faster shutter speed. Other than the 2 times you see the Yeti, there isn't a whole lot else to shoot on this ride. There's a lot of parts where it's just pitch black, and the times when you are outside, everything is moving so quickly and the ride vehicle is so jerky. There's really not enough time to see a composition, get your camera up and shoot. And actually, I think it makes the ride hurt even more because you are extra tense trying to keep your camera from smashing into things. It's better to just put the camera away, hold on for dear life, and try to enjoy this ride rather than photograph.
It's so much worse in the dark. And I'm off of Matterhorn with my spine and internal organs mostly intact. I'm now heading over to Toontown because Roger Rabbit is showing open. The last I checked on the app, right before I got on Matterhorn, it was saying it was a 20-minute standby. I'm not able to get a lightning lane for it, so I'm just going to stand by and then burn up my last lightning lane on Haunted Mansion, and then probably finish on Jungle Cruise, or maybe I'll swap those 2. We'll see. But I have 90 minutes left, and I have 3 rides to do. If all goes well, I think I'm going to get it done, as long as all goes well. So Roger Rabbit was a 40-minute standby wait. I should have checked the app rather than walk all the way over there. Stood in line for a couple of minutes, 6 minutes, and then decided to bail. So I have a lightning lane for Haunted Mansion at 10:50. I can cash that in about 10 minutes. And then once I cash that in, I might be able to get Jungle Cruise, and then if I can get through that fast enough, I'm gonna try to run back here and just jump in this line right at midnight. I think that's a safer play than trying to do it the other way around. Requires more walking though.
Haunted Mansion is one of my favorite rides, and this lens does a good job of photographing it. It's got a nice wide aperture, so it brings in enough light to actually get shots on what is a very dark attraction. The field of view is not as tight as I would like. I generally prefer shooting with something a little bit narrower, but taking what I can get, here's a shot of Hatbox Ghost. And then I didn't even bother to record some B-roll because I wanted to book it right over to Jungle Cruise as fast as I could. Again, the 17mm focal length is not very good for Jungle Cruise. Most of the things are a little too far away from the boat to really fill the frame with that lens, but I did get this shot of the chimps on the wrecked boat. This one came out pretty well. It's one of the few times you can actually fill the frame with that lens.
Okay, it is 11:38 and I have one ride left. And I have to get all the way to Toontown and get in line for Roger Rabbit before midnight. And if I can do that, I will have succeeded in my challenge today.
I think the reason I succeeded is because I bailed on this ride earlier on when it was a 40-minute wait. I chose to get 2 other rides done in that amount of time, and that still gave me time to get back here and jump in this. And I didn't even have to wait that long. It only took me 2 or 3 minutes to get onto a ride vehicle. This can be a challenging ride to photograph because the ride vehicle can spin, and so you have to photograph with one hand and control the ride vehicle with the other, and even still, it can be a real challenge to get the exact angle you want. So this is one of those rides that's going to take a little bit of practice to get it right.
We did it. I accomplished my goal. I rode all 33 rideable attractions that were open today in the park. I did it in under 16 hours. I did it in 15 hours and 51 minutes. So actually, technically, I do have the ability to jump into line for one last ride tonight and take a victory lap. I don't think I'll do that necessarily. I used Genie Plus Multipass Lightning Lane 10 times and an individual Lightning Lane single pass for Rise of the Resistance. Between those 11 Lightning Lane uses, I saved 347 minutes of time. That was looking at the posted wait time and then setting my stopwatch when I got into the line and seeing how long it actually took me to get on the ride. That's 5 hours and 47 minutes of extra time for the cost of Genie Plus for the day and an individual. That was worth it. I do not think it would be possible to do this, to ride all 33 of these rides in one day, if you didn't have that option. Even with that option, if you don't use it correctly, you still have to work really, really hard. I think I do have to put an asterisk next to my victory because Small World was down for refurbishment, so that's another Lightning Lane attraction I would have had to find a way to fit into the mix. I did finish early, so it is possible to have gotten it done. Also, since it is not a weekend, sailing ship Columbia was not up today. So that's another probably 20 to 40 minutes of time I would need to devote to that. And I didn't have a lot of downtime today. I stopped for 2 very quick service mobile order meals and a handful of bathroom breaks. It's not necessarily a fun day because there's no time for stopping and taking a break, watching a show,
What's the point of running if I don't
doing character meet and greets. It's just go, go, go from 7:45 in the morning until midnight. It's kind of stressful, especially the last few hours, looking at what I've been averaging each hour, what I need to average the last few hours of the day in order to make it work. It was interesting. It was fun. I probably will try to find a way to do it again and fit in Columbia and Small World. I want to mix up the order, try things a little bit differently, see if some different strategies work. If you stuck with me this far, thank you very much for watching, and let me know if you want to see more content like this. This wasn't really very photographic centric. It was more about just riding the rides and getting some photographs. So if this is something you want to see more of, drop a comment below. With that, I'm gonna head back to the hotel and go to bed. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.